Good day, Chief here. Today I'm going to talk about all the ranges that I attended while I was at Fort Riley, Kansas. I attended quite a few. While I was still in the S3 shop, we did the transition from the 1911 45 caliber pistol to the Beretta 9mm pistol. So at the end of the fiscal year, we had to shoot up all the 45 caliber weapon or ammunition, and I was on the list since S3 requires all the ammunition, but all of us junior enlisted, because I was only a sergeant, we all got bumped because captains from other shops, the companies all said, "Oh, no, we want to help shoot up that ammunition." So I was really disappointed, and so was Master Sergeant Tinsley, because he promised all us junior enlisted that we get to shoot the 45 caliber before it gets taken out of the inventory of the United States Army. So I was highly disappointed. Another weapon that I did not fire while I was at Fort Riley was the 50 cal. I never fired a 50 cal. We had a 50 cal range. I was selected to go as one of the teams, but last minute got bumped again. Did a lot of M16 range. Of course, we had to qualify annually, so I fired at least 3 times while I was there, because I was there for 3 years. One of the ranges I also helped, I was part of the cadre, the running staff of it. We were doing really good. It was just an amazing day. It was a nice, bright, sunny day. People were coming on bus loads. I think we were borrowed a school bus or one of the Army buses. And people were being bussed out, went over to the zero range. A lot of people had already zeroed their weapons, so all they were doing was just recertifying their zero, as we call it. Hello, Snickers. Talking to the air again, so he's got to come in and be part of the video, I guess. So they were zeroing, then they'd get on the qualification range, and everybody was like a first-time go. What? Oh, my goodness. You want to be part of the video? Okay. Snickers wants to be part of the video. You can sit in my lap. So like I said, we were doing really good. People coming on, zeroing. Hardly anybody had to go back to re-zero. First time goes, we were amazed. And they were only shipping them out in bus loads because they figured that was a good pace. Well, towards midday, about almost just before lunch, we get a call from range control saying ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. So we were told that the A-10s would be flying way downrange from us. I mean, I know an M16 bullet can travel quite a good distance, but I think by the time we would hit those A-10s way in the distance, it'd be lucky if it even chipped the paint as far as I was concerned. But since they were dipping low enough to be in the range of our bullets, so to speak, we had to stop the range. And the NCOIC, he was the one that was most hot because, like I said, we were doing good. So they were still shipping the soldiers out to us, even though we told them that, hey, we're on a ceasefire due to range control and the A-10's flying downrange. But headquarters didn't care. They wanted the troops out there. I think we also got visited during this time, and of course the battalion commander was a little upset, all these soldiers standing around doing nothing. If they'd qualified, they'd at least get back to work doing whatever they had to do in regards to the battalion or their daily duties. So like I said, when I went over to Charlie Company, I got issued a 203, the grenade launcher. I named mine Thumper because it made that little thump sound. And qualified at least once or twice. I know I qualified at least twice because I had to get familiar with the weapon on one range. And then the second range is what we did prior going over to Desert Shield, Desert Storm. And our 203 range was bare. You get out to this range, they got these wooden frames. All it is a frame, and then inside the wooden frame itself is a frame set aside to represent a window of the side of a house. So there's nothing solid to hit. I guess that's why, because they were just far enough away that by the time because the 203 round has to go a certain amount of distance before it activates itself to explode. And then down the slope, in kind of like a little valley, or depression, I guess I should say, there was an old wreck of a tank that we would use for long-range targets. Now the 203 had two sights. It had one on top of the rifle that you could use and adjust as you saw fit, and it also had another one on the side of the 203 that kind of had like a pin, and then you would guesstimate the range that way. I used the one on the side. I didn't care for the one on top. Plus, I just used it as a guide. I mostly just eyeballed my target because for the range that we did for going prior to Desert Shield, Desert Storm, kitty cat needs to be patted. I had a lieutenant standing behind me, one of my company lieutenants. We had two lieutenants, and she was standing behind me, and we put about 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds through the window. All 5 of mine, I think it was up to 5, all 5 of mine went through the window, and she's like, wow, I'm going to be near you if we ever have to use a 203. And I'm like, okay, I will become a target, Lieutenant. If I'm doing so good with my 203, I'll become a good target. So you want to be behind me. Okay, that's what I was thinking in the back of my mind. You want to be behind a person that's doing really good. No, you don't want to be that person. You don't want to be behind me. You don't even be in front of me or to my side. You want to be away from me, because I'll be a bullet target, bullet magnet, as we say. So that was fun. And then also prior going to Desert Shield, Desert Storm, our squad, even though we were the headquarters squad of a company, we were given an M60, the pig, as they called it in the Vietnam War. So I got to fire that, but we had ours on a tripod since we were supposed to be in a static position. And when you have it on the tripod, there's a range where you go to where they have frames up and down the range where there are 4 targets that you normally see on a M16 range, but they got them tacked on these frames, and you walk the gun from the closest target, and you just keep walking the gun. You got to twist this one thing so it raises the barrel, so you're shooting the far targets, and then your assistant gunner is sitting there with a pair of binoculars looking at all the targets to let you know, yeah, you hit that row up. So I sprayed each group of 4 targets, walked the M60 all the way up, walked it all the way back, and then it was time to switch. It's my turn on the binoculars, and the guy that was my assistant gunner, it's his turn to walk it. He got upset. He had a hard time cranking the wheel and adjusting that, and the windage and the elevation, as you hear a lot of people say, adjust your windage and elevation. He was just like too low for the target, then he'd get it, then he'd overshoot the target, and then I'd be like, you're too high, you're too low. He says, you made it look so easy. How did you do it? I said, I just did it. I mean, it's just a couple twists, you don't have to crank it. But that's what he was doing, so he was cranking it too much. So he got all flustered, and and he got so mad at me. He later went on to become a lieutenant, and I met him later in Korea. Maybe I'll talk about him when I get to Korea. Also mentioned like the 50 cal range that I didn't get to go to. We sent from Charlie Company a couple of our specialists, and had a humorous incident with them, because when they came back out of the range, we heard, hey, you guys are really good using that 50 cal. And they're like, what are you talking about? We heard that you shot the road like 10 feet in front of you. They're like, yeah, we kind of sort of did that. We didn't have the barrel raised high enough. Yeah, they had literally shot the road 10 feet in front of them. Put a spray of bullets into it. So while I was at Fort, I think as I mentioned with my promotion points, I was not a very good shooter. I mean, I got sharpshooter, marksman, Because like I said, you know, you go to these ranges and you got these big old holes in the target, and maybe they'll put a piece of tape over it, but then everybody will shoot that little tape out, so you're not knocking down targets when you know, by God, you put it, you know, center of mass as they teach you. But that is it for ranges. I enjoyed every single range because I love shooting weapons. I mean, I was not very good, like I said, when I first started at basic training. I about failed every range we did until I qualified, because I think I mentioned I failed the pre-qualification range the day before, and one of my drill sergeants was kind of like, well, looks like you're going to have to be a repeat. We can always just throw you back in another company for a couple of weeks. He was trying to make a joke out of it and everything, and of course, I think it was also to get me some confidence. But so this is Chief. You know what I say, freedom's not free. Soldiers pay the price. And the reason I said that is because in a couple of weeks I'm going to have a sad story, because recently I got asked by my ex about an incident that happened at Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So we'll get to that story. So like I said, freedom's not free. Hug a vet, thank a vet, married to one, kiss a vet. Chief out.